formula, I'd be very worried for C9 because the formula they played today and showed today already looks like it's working.
Yeah, it worked against Fnatic. It looked like an entirely different team. Let's see what things look like this time around. Cloud9 going to continue banning away the Caitlyn. They have focused this champion completely in the bans so far at Worlds. Graves is also gone. Azir taken away by EDG. Yuumi taken away by EDG.
In this game specifically, I wonder how high prio Aphelios is, because I think these are two incredibly talented Aphelios players who will definitely slam it on an early rotation if it's up. Another question is things like the Maokai. Or the Sejuani, if C9 want to go into that wheelhouse, but the Azir is down. We saw Jensen's Orianna, so I think Control Mage seems to be working for C9.
Okay, no Silas. They're going to take that one out. What will that final ban be? Are we going to get another Control Mage? No, the Sejuani banned out. So that's one of those super
Aatrox,
tanks along with Maokai. Aatrox is up. C9 are immediately going to lock this in.
As much as you might want Fudge on a tank and engage, Aatrox is just such a powerful champion, you cannot let it through. I wonder if that was intentional by EDG in saying, well, or in Maokai, you can always get good engage on top lane from Fudge. We'll give you Aatrox and see what Flandre can pick into it. Maokai will be picked up here as a flex.
It feels like a dare, right?
Yeah.
They're saying, okay, you've shown us that you can play one style well so far in your 4 games. Now we're saying you have to play something different. The Maokai locked in for EDG. They still have one more pick to go, using all the time so far.
Oh.
Do they just slam this down?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. They're ready to go. LPL Fiora versus the Aatrox. Everything is so telegraphed. The chain snapback, the Q spots. Riposte is child's play in this match.
It's a skill matchup for Fiora. Aatrox can contest a little bit early on, but when it gets to 2 items, becomes really tough for the Aatrox. Similar to Fiora, similar to Camille. This will be Blabber's Trundle again into the Maokai jungle. Makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Worked in their first game, seemed very comfortable on it. And we saw the power of it around Herald fights. Now, what does C9 pick up here? Aphelios could be an option. Could pick up some kind of Renata support, but I don't think that's very C9-esque. Mid lane Control Mage to stop Jensen from facing Victor Orianna bans could work as well. Zillion's being hovered right now. Not sure if you want to blind pick that, but it's going to be the Victor. Make sure they don't lose out on those Control Mages.
Exactly, the Zillion pick, a pocket pick of Jensen's, a long time thing that can come out in times of need. Shouting out sort of Cloud9's backs being against the wall more so than anything, I think. But that Victor locked in. One thing I am very worried about with this first half of the draft from C9, the engage options aren't really there. You have a pillar, and that's it. So the second half of the draft, I would expect EDG to look towards some of those engage options. EDG themselves, they have Maokai there for the front line, and then 2 powerful fighters, high damage melee champions in that Akali, in that Fiora, picked up for them. So it's got to be both of the bottom lane roles I would expect here for them with the Maokai in the jungle.
Definitely agree. And I guess the good news here for C9 so far is the Aatrox is playing against 3 melee champs. That really helps him in team fights and gap closing and getting resets and being able to heal through a lot of the damage. Aggressive AD carry bans coming out from Kalista and Lucian. The last one really is things like the Tristana, which we've seen touched on a little bit. We'll see if it's picked up or banned here in this series. Aphelios open. Varus is another one that teams have been prioritizing in terms of AD carries. Kai'Sa, another champ as well. There's the Jinx ban targeted at Berserker. I think Aphelios has to be a ban here for C9. Jinx Aphelios, you would think, was the old school MSI trade-off, and it's probably one of the strongest scalers left. They could pick Sivir into it, but Sivir into Akali would be a little bit tough unless they can find some kind of peel support.
They're taking their time. They really want to think it through. Plenty of options left. Marksmen have been pretty focused here so far, but there are still those options like you're saying.
Okay.
Kai'Sa, I like this. It feels like a respect ban just towards LPL in general. Whenever I think Kai'Sa, I think LPL. I think Kai'Sa and Nautilus. I think aggro bottom lanes, but it does leave Aphelios open. This is the pick you've been talking about all draft. They lock it in for Viper.
I feel like Aphelios ban there could have worked a little bit better, but they're gonna give over the Aphelios and they have a plan. Varus Tahm Kench here would do really well into Akali. Varus Renata would work too in denying the Renata from the Aphelios Renata. Now, Mako has a lot of options here. Nautilus would be the easy pickup to engage onto those immobile carries. Any hook champion to threaten the 3-man ranged of C9's mid-bot side works very well. We'll see what he opts into. Of course, Mako incredibly good at those melee support engages.
I'm not gonna lie to you, buddy. I'm still really worried about this Cloud9 draft. The last 2 picks, Yes, they have some hard CC, but the Thresh is locked in for EDG. The Maokai, it's easier for them to sort of just start these fights with the engage. Renata's ulti moves slower than some champions walk. Varus has the chains of corruption, but they only hit one target. Cloud9 are really going to have to find angles and picks here.
They definitely are, and I feel like the Aphelios Thresh can be mobile with one another, right? The Thresh can always pull the Aphelios out of a bad position if he gets lanterned or if the Aatrox manages to get on top of him. But you were talking about engage from C9's bot lane. The Varus helps out a little bit with that in terms of finding those picks or finding engages around the team fights. I feel like a Varus ult into a Renata ult or a Victor W is their way of setting up through a Trundle pillar. It's just a question of execution. I think we've got a very, very volatile top matchup the longer the game goes on. Mid lane, of course, Jensen will want to get the push, but Blabber will need to cover him. And bot lane, I mean, you're playing 4 range champs down there, so push is everything.
Blabber had a really good first game of the day. I complimented him during that game for being able to properly read Razork, always be there for the counter ganks, using that Trundle effectively to change the way those fights would go. And now here up against EDG, I think he's going to need to do the same yet again.
C9 backs against the wall. This is the game that could push them forwards with momentum against T1. This is the game that could knock them out of the tournament. So much pressure on the line on the blue side here. I don't think we'll see any level 1 shenanigans. Trundle, of course, incredibly strong up against champions like the Maokai, playing with Varus Renata too, so they could try to do level 1 invade towards bot side, but then you're splitting them up against Aatrox with Fiora. You don't really want to get into that kind of situation. We'll see what they do, though.
Here we go! C9 versus EDG. It is a must-win game for the North American representatives and for the team from the LPL. You know they want to stay tied at the top there with T1. Find some of that domination. Let's take a look across the board here. All the teleports are ready to go on solo laners. Cleanse on both of the AD carries. They know that on these immobile champions, getting caught is a guaranteed death.
Yeah, 1 hook, 1 kill could be what happens in his bot matchup. Berserker needs to run that cleanse. Of course, Maokai Flash W is another one. The Gravitum too, just making sure he's safe. That ward in the middle brush should help C9 get the early bot push, depending on where jungle starts. Looks like with Blabber being up towards his blue buff, that's where he will start. As I said, he's running down. Might go for a red start. Try to help Fudge out a little bit in these early stages, or maybe just do a full clear to top and then backtrack on the level 3. But the Thresh has a lot of innate kill pressure. The Renata more so poke and push.
Of course.
We are starting bot side as well.
Renata does have the ability to find the bailout. If the fights get really scrappy, really close, you can turn things around with that. But it's only good if things are close. If EDG can run the show, then it doesn't save a whole lot. Jensen far forward here in the lane, just having complete control over the wave. You can see Scout just sitting slightly out of vision range there. Now he's going to walk up, make sure he gets EXP, farm whatever he can. It's Berserker and Sven into the bottom lane first, but Mako and Viper can show up in plenty of time to not miss any EXP. And we're just going to start trading minions.
Trading minions, jungle mismatch. Thresh will need that level 2 before he goes for any crazy old lanes unless jungle's hovering around. JJ could be a bit crazy here and do blue drop into bolt with W, but looks like it's just going to move towards his wolves. There's the hook.
Oh, finds Berserker, gets cleanse at level 1.
Yeah, Berserker just running past the wave there into EDG's bot lane's face and just starts hitting them. So Mako manages to burn that summoner spell, but C9 can control the wave because of this. Can use these early summoners to force lane push. And Berserker will have that level 2 first alongside Sven. Jensen similarly stacking these waves into the melee matchup. Can look for poke here. C9 going to do their best to try to chunk Viper down. He's got a couple pots in his inventory, and Blabber, who's pathing bots on his 3 topside camps, will finish off on his red. Don't think there's any bot diving windows here. Maybe with an melee support they could look for some kind of crazy 3v2 dive, but we'll see what Blabber does. Still a long way away till the crab spawns, but he's moving his way into this bot side of the map. There's a ward that will spot him out. We'll see if he goes through lane or if he goes through river. Looks like he's just covering for now.
Yep, making sure these guys can get this pushed up. That's the responsibility of the jungler in those situations. Sven is hooked. Mako sets it up. Viper knocks them down. EDG make them look foolish.
C9 hovering for some kind of dive there, but EDG don't even flinch. Just instantly go on to Sven as he walks up, and he was tanking the tower with the Ignite. By the time he flashed out, the tower shot was already in the air. He falls, and JJ's been full clearing all the meanwhile, while his bot lane has been winning. So great start here for EDG.
EDG in the bottom lane, a 2v3, a pause coming off of first blood at 3 minutes into the game with the money on Aphelios.
Oof. So, yeah, only 3 minutes, 45 seconds into it. And the pause has come through. A lot of things to talk about, really, for both these teams. Because Flandre, for example, this is his first game of Fiora in summer. Mostly leaning towards things like the Gnar and the Gangplank. When you think of Fiora players, you think of players like Ale and Breed and the Jaxes of the world. Flandre never really struck me as that kind of player. It strikes me as creativity and reliability. So we'll see how he performs on that champion. But it's an early bot lead, like you said, for the side of EDG.
And with that early bot lead, that EDG did not have to commit extra resources to. They were the ones in the 2 versus 3 underneath the turret. Well, now that opens up the possibility of, hey, maybe jungler can just go top, help out the Fiora in this Aatrox matchup, really tilt that one in your favor as well. And then if things get dire in 2 separate lanes, all of a sudden, you're just in total control.
You are, and when you think of Thresh, you can play aggressive with the Thresh, land the hook, flash flay, it's very aggressive champ, but it's also a very defensive champion, and in the sense where their jungler wants to play topside and get the Fiora ahead. With bot having a lead already, what they can do is have Viper push out waves with the Lantern, the Thresh quite far away, with the Lantern at the ready, and you can kind of push waves in despite being in a numbers deficit. Obviously, you can hover around mid in case there's a 3v2 as well, so we'll see how Mako plays the map, but for now, looks like we're in the pause, but we'll give you updates the second we know them.
Yep, I've been told that there is some sort of peripheral issue on stage. League officials are investigating. I don't know if it's a keyboard, a mouse, whatever it is, but hopefully we can resolve that one nice and quick, get ourselves back into the game. Cloud9 are down about 1,000 gold here early on just because of that kill. You're getting first blood, you're getting assist money. You've got the leads like you were talking about too. JJ just full clearing. He's like, okay, Blabber gave up some early efficiency in farming to try to move, shadow that bottom lane, protect them as they shove up. It ends up just biting them in the butt because of that Thresh. And so things are a little problematic now.
Yeah, it's great for JJ. And if you think of EDG and how their split's gone, subbing in Junjia towards the end of the regular season, fantastic early game standouts on things like the Trundle and the Poppy. And JJ struggled a little bit to adapt away from the Viego Wukong meta. Vi was his basic band-aid to fix those kind of scenarios. But the Maokai full clear is great for him. Doesn't really have to look for anything crazy in the level 1 to 4. Doesn't have to overforce flashes. His bot lane's winning. Can do a very happy full clear and then look more towards the team fights. Of course, Scout has COVID in isolation right now, won't be on the stage, but hopefully we get these peripherals fixed as soon as possible, and hopefully Scout gets much better as soon as possible. But it's going to be a tough task for C9. I think top lane is where they'll now need to focus because the 3v3 just seems incredibly hard. Covering the Varus on push-outs, farming with Q max range, and then looking for Heralds on this top side is probably what their focus will be. And covering Jensen is really important. When Scout ticks over to level 6 on this Akali, they have so much kill pressure. One Maokai flash W and he's as good as gone.
Right.
And Blabber needs to juggle the mid lane push towards a side lane so that C9 can play on 2 lanes.
In their first game today, Jensen did really well on the Orianna, on the Control Mage. The Shockwave that found Razork in the EQ combo that set them up to get the Baron. The fact that he was always willing to aggressively trade to enable those Super Mega Death Rockets. Victor doesn't have quite the I'm going to guarantee my damage with CC type of combo that Orianna does with the ulti, but I'm still going to have eyes on Jensen to be that big team fight damage. And my concern more so is up at the top side. Aatrox is not a pure fighter, all damage, like I'm only gonna build glass. He's a bruiser by nature, but I find him closer to like the Jax or the Fiora, those fighters, than I do to something like an Ornn. And Fudge looked much better on the Ornn than he looked on the Jaxes and the Fioras in week 1. So for C9, you're gonna have to enable him. You're gonna have to make sure this Aatrox can do his job because Fudge will need to step up, especially now that bottom is behind.
Oh, he definitely will. And the Aatrox can run rampant in fights with a lot of mini champs. C9 up against 3 mini champs and a Thresh, which is relatively short range. So Fudge should be able to jump into these fights, has a Renato ult behind him, has a Victor behind him. So if he can control space for his team, then they will be able to be a death ball in a sense up against EDG. EDG's engage. It's reliable in the sense that you have a Maokai flash W, but it's quite hard to pull off because it's very obvious when it's coming. If Maokai's stepping up or there's roots behind him with the ultimate, that's what you have to be scared of. They have a really good pick though. Thresh Maokai, when they control vision in one side of the jungle, EDG will pounce on you. C9 needs to be very careful. I think mid lane is, like I said before, they really need to make sure Jensen's safe. If EDG have bot push and Thresh is hovering mid and Maokai's around on Akali level 6, Jensen can't even walk up. He's even probably diveable at times. So yeah, C9 needs to get one side rolling as quick as possible.
It is a terrifying situation, but as the situation here with the peripheral issue continues, we're going to toss things back over to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Captain Flowers. Unfortunate pause here between Cloud9 and EDG. As was mentioned, peripheral issue. We've got officials investigating. They'll keep us apprised with any updates as they become available, and we'll get you back in the game as quickly as possible. In the meantime, though, we can talk about a couple things. Not just the draft, but First Blood as well. Let's start, though, with what each of the team came to the table with, Emily.
Yeah, so we talked about Mako's Thresh. He gets it here again. As we'll see later, it's a difference maker in that bot
Pretty good
lane.
at that, champ.
The other thing that you see from this draft is actually Maokai and Fiora being picked at the same time. So you know Maokai's going to be going into the jungle, Fiora going into the top lane. This isn't, like, obviously it's picked into the Aatrox first pick, right? This isn't a pick that I would think of as a Flandra staple. I'll just say that. I don't know if you agree with me, Rob.
No, I would 100% agree. 100% agree. This is not exactly a man who's very deft when it comes adept to like playing around mechanically skilled champions. He's much happier to play something like a Gragas where he just play frontline. And even when we saw them win the World Championship in 2021, it was on things like the Graves and the Jaces, right? You're not gonna wow with your mechanics on these champions, and that's where I think it's going to be a bit interesting to see how he's going to perform on
Look,
this.
I'm just happy that if there's a Fiora in the game, it's not on the Cloud9 side. Okay,
No.
that's enough for me.
Maybe we're learning.
1-0 is the kill score. The teams are diving back into the game, so let's get back over to our casters for the call.
Woo! Rock and roll, let's do it. We're back into game. EDG, 900 gold ahead. JJ securing the Scuttle Crab here in the topside river. Fires off that Scryer plant. Gonna see no camps currently available here in the topside for Blabber, who did start top, path towards bottom. And now up here in topside, Fudge versus Flandre early. It's a nice early lead for the Fiora.
It is indeed. 10 CS lead will be able to crash his waves. Looks like Berserker and Sven gonna freeze this bot wave as Viper needs to base and pick up a couple of items. We'll pick up the Noon Quiver as he comes back to lane. Berserker gonna base on the freeze, pretty smart to match, or at least try to match the couple of the items picked up by Viper. Now Blabber's moving into this top side. He has backtracked, full clear towards bot, skipped Krugs, got the crab, and now he's moving up here. We expected him to move towards the top side of the map with the bot 3v3 now being losing. The question is, can he pull off a kill? The red buff's still up.
Q3 from Fudge finds its target. Blabber's made his way in. He's just gonna step up. The Infernal Chains are already out there. The parry, it works. Scout's making his way up. Throws out the Shuriken, and Blabber and Fudge have to back away.
Yeah, Flandre using the W2 pullback there to stun Blabber. And I think he would have been fine in the 1v2 regardless, but Scout there has a lot of kill pressure if they overcommit. And look at JJ now from base, taking away Blabber's Krugs, taking away bot camps, putting vision down. Saplings in your bot jungle are always a pain to deal with. Not the start that C9 would have wanted.
The control the saplings give you, just the ability to know when somebody, they're like a little mini ward, the power available to EDG, and now they're bringing a party to mid lane. Hey, Jensen, knock, knock, here comes the LPL, here comes EDG. Viper has two.
The setup is just so easy, isn't it, with the Maokai Thresh? Just flash W, land the hook on his flash. If he doesn't, you'll chain CC anyway. And that's the power of the bot push we were talking about in the pause, that they can move towards mid. And because Berserker was freezing, that frees up Mako to make plays like that.
Absolutely brutal for Jensen, who falls to the four-man play. He will hit level 6 first here in the mid lane, but there's not really an opportunity to do a whole lot with it. Scout's just gonna get that wave shoved up. Jensen will fall back to farm. Flandre is going in topside. The riposte will not find the stun, but the timing against those Infernal Chains is so easy.
It really is, and as soon as that stun connects, he's dead. And level 6 Fiora will proc all her vitals from her ultimate. She'll chase you down. So Fudge just picked up the play to steel caps early on in this lane. Alternator for Scout with the level 6. A lot of burst, a lot of dive potential. Here we go again. Are they going to be able to pull it off? Scout needs to crash the wave, so he has to invest a W for energy regen to do it. Here comes JJ.
JJ's ready to go. There's the Chaos Storm. JJ's low. Jensen looking for the outplay here. Scout's at 100 HP, but Jensen's at 50. He survives the dive.
Oh, EDG's mid-jungle playing with fire there. The wave was so small. They only had a brief window before they started tanking. They don't manage to get Jensen down despite landing their full combos. EDG lucky to get out there.
Jensen having to respect the smoke and back away. A shuriken tag means death. So he's just gonna make sure that wave shoves out there. He's got very little health to work with. He has no teleport.
Yeah.
He's got Blabber right next to him to make sure he's safe.
But they're afraid. They're afraid that JJ's regen on a camp and he's hovering around to stop the push out. Actually, they're gonna stop their bases. They know they need to get this in. Scout hasn't yet based himself, so he needs to stay around and catch his wave. JJ is gonna recall. so both mid laners able to control the waves the way they wanted.
Okay, C9 will crash that one in. Jensen can get back. It won't hurt him nearly as much to not have that TP now. Blabber going back into his own jungle. As you can see, JJ's recall has afforded him his Ionian boots of lucidity. The staple for tank gameplay in the jungle, going to allow him to make more of those moves. Back up here in top side, Flandre just continuing. Look at the farm. Cagel 69 to 49. The Fiora is just starting to run away with it.
Yeah, almost 20 CS lead now as Fudge catches a little bit off that wave. And look at the minimap. You can see that ward on the Raptors, the red ward, that ping from EDG, as well as the sapling on the blue, basically gives information as to where Blabber is the whole game. As he blast coned over there around 10-15 seconds ago, spotted by the sapling. As he walks into his bottom side jungle, spotted by the ward. So EDG have kept track of Blabber the majority of this game. Flandre is consistent top push, and the 2-0-0 on the Aphelios is giving EDG a bot push. And they can always collapse towards mid. They can always hover towards Jensen's lane, and him having no flash makes the game so hard. So C9 need to force a play with a numbers advantage. It looks like the Herald is just going to get started up here on Vision with Mako in mid. I think EDG should be able to collapse here quite easily. Sven's on his way up.
Yeah, EDG ready to answer this. Fudge still only has half HP in the top lane 1v1. Blabber has to get away now. Yeah, they threw the control ward down on top of the ward, but they still started it, like you said, with Scuttle Crab still there. Yep. EDG was ready. Cloud9 can't just do that. And now JJ will keep planting these saplings every chance he gets. Always on the lookout, always providing extra information. As Blabber and Sven step up, Blabber's getting grabbed. He'll probably just die here. Scout goes back in. They try to get him with the bailout. Instead, it'll be two. Sven with the flash away. Mako, don't miss.
Mako makes it happen around the Herald. We talked about the strength of their picks from their jungle support, the amount of CC that they have. Mako landed onto Blabber, landed onto Sven, gives 2 kills over to EDG, and they get the Herald as well. Fudge forced the base because he knows that his jungle support just died. He has no cover on this top lane. He could be dove at the click of a finger, so Flandre will get 2 plates. He's 30 CS up. The map is in shambles for C9 right now.
3,500 gold at 9.5 minutes into the game. Cloud9 is getting absolutely destroyed here by EDG and by Mako on this Thresh. It was the final pick of the draft, and it is paying off. Let's watch again.
Really monstrous pick. Instant hook into the box. There's the Maokai route. Blabber has absolutely nowhere to go. And then beautiful Mako sets it up next to Scout. Sven flashes. Hook connects. 2 for 0. Happy days, and Mako is just such a standout performer, and he has been for so goddamn long. 7, 8, 9 years, just constantly at the top of his game. Hook champions, especially engaged champions, is where he shines, and we're seeing it right now.
Total gold, you can see a lot of red at the top of that chart. Only just now has Jensen barely got a bit more money than the EDG jungler, and that will be a problem as we head further towards the mid game. We still got 3.5 minutes left on plates, but if we're talking plates, we're talking EDG hasn't lost a single one yet.
5-5-5 across the towers. Dragon started up here. Viper's just gonna pull it out as JJ comes from base to assist. Easy objective for them, both neutrals in their favor. We won't count that one as a hook, Mako. We'll ignore that one. You've done so well. We won't. Missing the dragon is excusable.
This is how he gets the bad ones out, right? Yeah. You gotta get it out here, and then in the team fight, you're ready to go. You're locked in again.
It's programmed to hit champions only.
Exactly. That's not a champion. That's not gonna give you 300 gold. When you kill it, it doesn't matter. Dragon slain by JJ and EDG now with a 4-kill, 3.2 thousand gold lead, and the Drake under their belt, feeling great and no signs of slowing down.
Imagine you're Blabber right now. You're being pulled to every lane. You need to hover around mid to cover Jensen. You need to go towards top so Fudge can push out against his Fiora. And you need to make sure your bot lane can't be dove by the 3-man of EDG, or even get set up on a Flash Lantern gank, right? So Blabber has a really tough task ahead of him in terms of covering and juggling these lanes to make sure EDG can't find plays.
And I've got to compliment EDG for that. They're the ones who got themselves the Fiora pick into the Aatrox to always demand some pressure up there from Blabber. They're the ones who are hitting the hooks on Mako in the bottom lane to make that demand some pressure. Like, this is the squad who is absolutely just choking Cloud9 out of the game and making Blabber make these impossible decisions.
The only options C9 have right now is weathering the storm through the lane phase and fighting neutral objectives. And Blabber needs to be on the top of his game to cover these dives. JJ's now up towards this top side of the map by taking that Scryers. I think C9 will know he's there. Fudge trying to get aggressive onto Flandre, but the W stops his own W from pulling him back. Taking away the blue buff once again. They have a 3-man play here on top if they want to dive. Fudge, TP on Jensen. I'm not sure if it's up.
Well, Fudge has 2 long swords and a pair of boots. Flandre's got a Divine Sunderer. That fight will never go the way of Cloud9. And now the Herald is summoned up just to beat him further into the dirt. First turret completely goes over to EDG. 4,500 gold ahead. They're even going to force the charge onto the tier 2. Fudge wants to try to stop it, but JJ won't let that happen.
Blabber's around. Jensen's here too. 3v3 might be something C9 opt into.
JJ slowed down here at the start. They don't want to overcommit onto the tank. And EDG walking out, but Scout's looking for a chance to maybe go back in. Not going to find the Shuriken, so now they make their exit.
Fudge paying a lot of respect to the pressure of JJ there. The second he got a glimpse of him, he instantly popped the ult and just ran for his life. Bot lane in isolation will be in favor of EDG. You can just see it by the items. Gale Force for Viper can constantly push these waves in. C9 don't really have an angle to fight back. Scout a lot of kill pressure in mid as well. Oh, the damage.
Speak of the devil.
Yeah, damage is absurd as much as... Oh, hang on a second, Sven. Tries to flash hand take Viper there because he has no cleanse. He must have burned that a little bit earlier on. But now he's under threat if a hook hits. If Mako can land a hook on Sven here, he will fall. JJ now on the bot side of the map. Blabber was covering top for so long he had to juggle his camps, but now JJ might threaten the bot dive.
This is so scary. What EDG has done in the first 13 minutes of this game. They got 15 seconds left on plates. They're looking to get a little bit more money. Mako just barely missing out on that max range hook there on Sven. A turret plate stays alive. 3, 2, 1. They hit the hook, but they can't go for the dive. C9 stuck underneath their turret all the way across the map.
It's a 5k gold lead in 14 minutes for EDG right now. Every lane is winning or has pressure for kills, so JJ has a plethora of options. C9 just need to hold on. 1 minute 40 seconds on the next Dragon. Try to take a fight when they have mythic spikes on some of their carries. Jensen doesn't get the base stop on the Scout, who will probably TP back anyway. Has the rocket belt complete. C9 have a little bit of room to breathe now that EDG have based on basically everyone. Coordinated reset coming out here from EDG, 5-man base at the same time. The reason this helps so much is it helps you re-establish who you want to put where on lanes, right? Yeah, Scout's going bot, Flandre is going back top. We're going to swap our mid and bot and contest this Dragon because we can get mid-push with Viper. That's why syncing your resets is so good, so you can change your control over lanes.
Well, Scout decides to go in bottom. Sven's got no way home, man. All right, just make it quick. Make it quick.
Oh.
There it is. Scout picks up another one. 5 to 0, excuse me. Got a little bit ahead of myself there as EDG. Man, they just don't stop. Cloud9 losing Sven for free. 0 and 3 here on the Renata.
They are ruthless, aren't they? EDG, the lane swaps coming through means that Sven gets caught out. Didn't expect Scout to be down here. Sven's struggling this game. And I mean, he's looking for a little bit of damage onto the tower, maybe for a support item or something, and then Scout flashes over the handshake, and Berserker just got his recall off. Even if Berserker stayed, I think Sven was dead here no matter what. Berserker can't really offer that much in the Shroud.
Yep.
Scout will then net that and turn that into a bot tier 1. C9 yet to find absolutely anything.
Nothing whatsoever for the North American representatives. Remember, if they lose this, they are out. EDG securing the Herald for the second time, getting away for free. The first Herald got them first turret of the game and half the health bar on the tier 2. I'm curious how much they're gonna force out of this second one.
They can just Herald wherever the hell they want, really. Bot tier 2, mid tier 1, Dragons up, they can start that. C9 have no response. Fudge has the TP and Flandre doesn't, so that's a window for a 5v4, but they don't have any vision. I don't think C9 see absolutely anything on the maps. Blabber's looking at this Dragon Pit blind, and there's no real way to walk in. Thresh hook hits, a Maokai W out of the bush, you are dead, and they have no pushing lanes to go through either. C9 will now finally get the mid push as Viper is around the Dragon, but Jensen's stuck under his tower. Fudge wants to push out top. It's a 6,000 gold lead now. Was 5,000 2 minutes ago. A couple minutes later, another 1,000 in the pocket of EDG.
I mean, it's just so much at this point. EDG has to make some kind of an error. Cloud9 are at a point where it's not enough for you to play good. There has to be a mistake because the gold advantage just creates so much of a climb. The cliff is just vertical.
It's only getting steeper and steeper and steeper. EDG will just keep choking you out of your own jungle and pushing you back. New York rallying behind the hometown heroes. See if C9 can find any kind of strength, any power to fight back against this dominant, flawless squad of EDG so far.
Viper switching over to the 360 no-scope guns. These ones can be very, very scary if you hit you with the ulti. Take out half your health bar with the follow-up auto. Oh, yeah. But nobody from Cloud9 is going to step up and challenge. This is so difficult, because if you're Cloud9, everything's pretty much a 1% play at this point, and you just got to pick which one you try to go for.
Yeah, basically your options get smaller and smaller. There's the Herald mid from EDG. Dragon's down. They're going to get this tower, or are they going to look for a second one? Flandre has the TP coming up soon, but look at Scout. He'll find Jensen here.
Scout seeing if he can get anybody. Oh, Jensen. Oh, no. Scout takes 2/3 of his health away immediately. Uses his ulti to do it. Gets the ult back out of Jensen. And now EDG regrouping in the Cloud9 red side jungle. C9, this jungle is dark and full of terrors. They must be careful. They must use their vision because JJ's saplings are winning the vision war automatically. Fudge going down to the tier 2 to keep that one alive, but he won't be able to do it. EDG still in control. JJ's ulti up the wall. Blabber gets free just in time to get out of the hook range.
So EDG there pushed in mid with the Herald, and we're playing mid to bot. They wanted to get the bot tier 2, and C9, despite getting towards the bot side first, weren't actually able to defend the tower. Flandre just steps up in front of Fudge and takes it in his face. You can see the gold leads individually across every single lane right now. None of it is positive for C9. 2 minutes, 30 seconds on the next Dragon will put EDG on soul point, and I think the game will slow down a little bit now to give C9 some room to breathe, some room to find some more items on these late game carries of the Varus and the Victor. EDG actually trying to take away the blue for the 3rd time here.
Scout's coming around. He's got the ulti back up again. Blue buff at 700. Cloud9 still looking to control that, but it's JJ with the smite stealing it away. EDG has their support walking up next. They are 3 versus the 4 of Cloud9, but my money's on the 3. They're just that far ahead.
Baron up in 50 seconds. How quickly can EDG start it up? They have fantastic turn if they have some vision on this top side, and Flandre still has that TP, of course. Just about pushing C9 as far back as possible. Make them have to catch this mid wave. They have to run out of their own jungle. JJ and Mako will then start pressing forwards and putting wards down. And they'll just keep pushing you back. Take that pink ward. Viper controls the mid wave. Baron up in 30. We'll see if they decide to start it up. I think the easy play for EDG here is just a shift from bot to mid to top to try and take that top tower, but Flandre might be thinking of some kind of dive.
EDG, they're starting it off. Going for the Aphelios ulti. The lockdown happens with Berserker and Sven are both safe. Flandre versus Fudge off to the side isn't going to result in a whole lot, but Mako, he just doesn't miss those. It's a kill over to EDG, but Mako's gonna die. They find another one as EDG kills Sven. 2 for 1 now here in the mid lane.
Support jungle for C9 is down. Sven tried his best there the second that EDG engaged onto Blabber to ult flash onto Viper, but he has the cleanse the second it landed, so he managed to get himself out of there. Flandre looking for the enemy red buff that's spawning in around 5 seconds time. Gonna fight onto Fudge.
Fudge trying to deal with this Fiora, but it ain't working out so hot. He'll walk away from it, but he doesn't have a lot of HP to work with. They can pass the red buff off to Viper so easily. The entirety of Summoner's Rift is owned by EDG because of Mako hitting hooks like these.
Pulls Blabber in. Viper dishes out the damage. There's the ult flash from Sven to try to land onto Mako and Viper. They do get Mako down, but Viper with the Gale Force forwards just absolutely melts through Sven. And then EDG decides to back away. Mana bar's extremely low and wants to reset to pick up items. Ooh, that hook doesn't connect. 30 seconds on the Dragon. Flandre looking for Sven here. Sven, no flash. Doesn't have vision on him just yet, Flandre. But again, like you said, owning every side of the jungle.
9,000 gold, 21 minutes into the game, 7-1. EDG looking incredible here in their first game of week 2. And JJ with control over that Dragon Pit. He's got the opportunity to throw more saplings down, more control, more vision, more information, more for EDG. And they're gonna bring more bodies down to the bottom lane and look to give more deaths over to Cloud9. Maokai ult hits the front line there as Fudge shows up. Flandre taking a little bit of damage, not worried at all. Dashes back out of the chain. Viper goes to the ulti. He hits 5. A lot of damage flies out. Berserker's already low. EDG have them trapped. Blabber tries to get back to the rest of the team. Scout goes in. C9 are stuck in the execution alcove. And EDG just got 5 for nothing.
C9 are wiped their hopes and dreams are crushed as EDG circle around them like sharks and pick up all 5 kills. They're going to put themselves on soul point as well. The nail in the coffin would be the Baron, but EDG can't pick it up just yet.
Cajun, these guys are playing like they've won Worlds before or something.
You would have thought, huh?
You would think something like that might have gone down, and EDG are making absolute meat out of Cloud9 here in this game. 12,000 gold up, soul point, Baron's the next stop. These guys are a machine.
They really are, and they're bloody well oiled. I mean, it's C9 trying to contest this soul point, so Fudge TP's in. They try to zone away Flandre, but look at the pincer they have here. 2 from topside, Flandre from the right, Scouts from the left. They have nowhere to run. It's only the alcove in terms of space that they can work with. Viper then steps forward and starts hitting the front line. Good W there by Flandre to stun out Fudge, but the Renata ult misses Scout, manages to dodge away, and it's him who just deletes straight through Fudge and Berserker with the R2. And when Berserker falls, Viper can step forwards and all of C9 fall.
What a heart drop of a moment for Cloud9 when you're all stuck in that alcove with 1/3 HP and you know what's coming, and it's not gonna be a good time.
Really isn't. So now it's Baron, 12,000 gold lead. C9 are still in it. They have one more fight left in them, but it's gonna have to be a miracle if they want to turn this game around. They're going to group up, though, because they know the only way to win this is just numbers advantage. They're looking for Viper.
Oh, Sven's in some trouble, though. Viper getting a ton of damage. Viper getting away. Cloud9 getting crushed. EDG get a double kill back over onto their AD carry, and Cloud9 won't find a single man.
C9 play aggression despite being so far behind. They tried to get the kills. Jensen.
Scout just looking to style on him a little bit. 1v2 gets it done.
EDG will get the Baron off that almost certainly, and C9 lose 4. They tried to just overcommit topside and tried to kill Viper with 3 members, but Viper has the subs up. He manages to get out. That was just a throw everything at the wall and see what sticks kind of moment, and EDG slapped everything away and nothing stuck. Baron for EDG. Flandre's pushing in mid. C9 have nothing left.
It is 15,000 gold, nearly a 1,000 gold lead for every kill they've got in this game. 16-1 the kill count for the reigning champs, as C9 tried to make a move and EDG just wouldn't let him.
Berserker just ult flashing forward there onto Viper, trying to get everything on top of him, but the bailout doesn't come through in time because he can't get the kill. Viper kites him out. Blabber's then stuck after Blast going over without the flash, gets melted by EDG. Flandre TP's in to help out his team. And I think that was the last play C9 really had to find a way to turn this game around, because Jensen fell, the Baron's gone. There's nothing for C9.
And at this point, if you're Scout, you're just letting them know. You're making a point out of it. 1v2, diving through there, finding the enemy mid laner.
I mean, Blabber knows it's over, right? They're
Yeah.
just seeing if something works. 0.01% chance. This time around, EDG are flawless.
You're just throwing the ball all the way down the field. You're just going for that Hail Mary. It doesn't work. It's not like it was expected to. Fudge goes through the Hex Gate. He's immediately killed. Sven's out next. Berserker's gonna drop. Scout gets away. EDG, they're marching to the win.
They're about to knock Cloud9 out of the tournament. Flandre is running forwards, pushing the mid jungle of C9 back. There's nothing left to do here. It's all EDG.
EDG, there's the inhib in bottom. They're gonna pick up a second inhib here in mid. They've got the Baron up wave. 2 left on Cloud9's side, and Blabber and Jensen cannot do it. The reigning world champions will eliminate North America's best international team from World.
And what a way to do it. EDG, incredible game, consistent, no real mistakes at all. Very clear game plans, didn't even give an inch to C9 to find their way back into this game. This group's shaping up to be very competitive now, in the sense that EDG and T1 are at the same amount of wins. And if Fnatic lose to EDG, then they are also out. So Europe has their backs against the wall.
And going up against this team, this one we just watched right here, these 5 guys, that is terrifying if they continue playing like this. The draft was set up great. We've got a counter pick top, we don't gotta worry about it. Bottom, we got a play